Shortly after Thanksgiving in 1987, an intruder broke into the Tucker residence in Arlington, Virginia. It might have been just another statistic, but the crime committed that night launched a new era in police investigations. This is how DNA evidence and psychological profiling helped catch a serial killer and set an innocent man free. As they approached the front door, they noticed it was ajar. Inside, a woman's purse was lying on the foyer floor.
I arranged calling the Monday. Couldn't get an answer, just rang.
Tucker.
I rang again. I rang again. I don't know how many times I rang.
Susan Tucker's badly decomposed body was lying face down on the bed. She had been dead for 4 or 5 days.
Her hands were tied behind her back, her feet were tied, the head hanging over the side of the bed almost.
She had been strangled and possibly raped.
It appeared that the killer more than likely was inside the home for quite some time. I mean, it wasn't just a very, quick in and out type of a situation. Many of the drawers had been, ransacked, had been gone through.
When Reggie Tucker first heard the news, he was devastated.
She said, "Sir."
Laboratory in New York. Forensic scientists were concerned that the samples may have degraded or been contaminated.
For example, in taking a vaginal swab from a victim, you have the victim's DNA as well as the potential perpetrator in one sample that you're going to test. That's contamination. You have to be able to sort those two DNAs out to make any kind of comparisons.
White blood cells were extracted from the semen stain and treated with a special chemical cocktail which permits the DNA to separate, a sticky bundle of complex cells.
You basically isolate the DNA, you cut it up, you generate profiles or patterns, and you then generate these patterns on a piece of X-ray film. So it's like a picture of the DNA. And when you then compare these pictures and the components are the same in the two DNAs, that would indicate that they're from the same source.
The final results from the DNA tests would take up to 10 weeks, but Detective Horgus still didn't have a suspect.
Weeknights on CBS Drama will bring a chill to the air.
Bad dream.
Something isn't right.
Life bestows many precious gifts, but what if yours unveiled a hidden world?
The Susan Tucker crime scene, they made a chilling discovery.
And I remember pulling out an X-ray film from the developer and holding it up from these two separate cases and being bombarded immediately that the patterns I'm seeing are the same. I'm seeing the same profile on this case from one county versus this case from a second county, which says to me that the same person is involved in both of those incidents. It really gave you chills up and down your spine to see something like that.
Horgus was right all along. The semen sample from the individual who raped and presumably murdered Susan Tucker matched the semen stains from the murders in Richmond.
There were 7 hairs that were consistent with his. There was a glass fragment that was consistent with his. His family couldn't provide him with a complete alibi for the entire weekend.
And finally, Timothy Spencer's blood DNA was compared to the semen samples from the crime victims.
Once we got a sample from Mr. Spencer to test, we generated a profile that was the same as the profile we got from the evidentiary samples. We had a frequency of occurrence of greater than 1 in a million. So that means that only one person in a million in the population.
Horgus.